Hello, Fenton here. Welcome to the Factorio Extreme Entry-Level Beginner Tutorials, which is certainly a mouthful to say. I appreciate that. Just playing with my pen. Just playing with my clicky pen, which the clicker is broken. You see that? See that? What a world we live in, eh? Unacceptable. We talked about burner mining inserters. I'm sorry. We talked about burner mining inserters last time. Burner mining drills. And now we're going to talk about stone furnaces. What I've done here is just simply expanded my coal production. So before I talked about having two burner mining drills facing each other, here I've just expanded that to be 6. So it's 3 times as fast. And that's great. Also what I've done is I've started mining some stone. I didn't really touch on this in the previous episode, but the burner mining drill is laid out in such a way that you can put 4 of them down in a square sort of shape there, and all of the outputs will then be in this one in the middle, and that will just go into the chest. You can see that that's been running for some time. So what we need now is we need to turn copper ore and iron ore into their intermediate products. If we press E to open the inventory, let me get rid of all this stack crap just quickly. And all of this. Wow, I did a lot. Just wanted to make sure it was ready. Just get rid of all of it. If we look in our inventory, in our intermediate products, we can see there are iron plates which need iron ore, take 3.2 seconds to craft, and they are made in stone furnaces, steel furnaces and electric furnaces, and exactly the same with copper plates, copper ore, 3.2 furnaces. They cannot be made by hand, so we really got no excuse but to use the stone furnace. Stone furnaces are made with just 5 stone, and they take 0.5 seconds to craft, so they are very simple to do. So we'll take some stone out of our chest here. I'm just clicking the chest, I'm picking up a stack of stone. If I wanted all of the stone, I could control click in one of these empty squares and it will just bung it all over. If there were more than one type of item in the chest, so for example over here I've put the coal and the iron in the chest, if I wanted all of the iron I could control click just the iron. If I wanted to put all it back, control click the iron and it goes back. Control click the coal, exactly, there we go. The only thing you can't do from this screen is if you wanted all of it, you couldn't get all of it quickly because there's no empty square to click on. So there we go, 2 clicks instead of 1, unacceptable really. The only thing you could do is from this screen, if you control click a chest, you just empty all of it out. So that's in fact fewer clicks, because you don't have to click the chest in the first place. But what we want is the coal. Shift click, take your 1 stack out as well. I should probably mention that. So let's take out 1 stack of coal and 1 stack of iron ore. Get all of this stuff back out now. And we will take some of the stone out and make some stone furnaces. So we've got enough stone to make 10 stone furnaces. We can click them, and in the bottom left here, very quick because they've got a very quick craft time, they will just make. You can shift click to make a bunch at a time, and I believe you can control click to make loads. No, control click in fact does nothing. It's shift left click makes all of them, that's right. That's what it is. There we go. Left click will make 1, right click will make 5, shift left click will make as many as you can out of what you've got. Let's stop that before I have 3,000 stone furnaces. These have stopped because they are all full of coal. They have now hit their limit of 50, so that's what that was if you wanted to know, it was 50. So what I'm going to do is, again, and the same as the chest, I'm just going to control click these from the outside and just pick them all up. I'm not even control clicking each individual one, I'm control left clicking the first one, and then I'm not releasing the left mouse button, I'm just dragging it over. And I'm getting all of them out. There we go, 366 coal. I've taken the liberty here of adding certain things to my hotbar, so I've just clicked an empty square and I found the thing that I want. This screen is very confusing if you are new to the game because it shows you everything possible. What's better is to open your inventory by pressing E and putting the individual items that you have onto your hotbar, because otherwise you have to know what all of these do, and this screen looks fine for me, but as a new player it's basically showing every single possible thing you can have in your inventory at once, and it's quite overwhelming, so you can do it like that if you like. furnaces then. That's enough extracurricular stuff. Let's talk about the furnace. So the furnace is a 2x2 entity. If you press the pause button on your keyboard, or the pause break, it will pause the game, but it will also bring up this nice handy grid, which is very helpful for looking at building sizes and things like that. It also shows you the chunks, which are the thick black lines. Less relevant, but game loads a chunk at a time when you go near to it, and it's all back-end computer stuff. You don't need to know that. You don't need to know that. The stone furnace does not accept a recipe. It will just start smelting the input when you put it in. It takes fuel, burnable fuel, in the same way as the burner mining drills: coal, wood, the other three things we don't have any of yet, so let's just put some coal in. Keyboard shortcuts as well. I'll stop harping on about keyboard shortcuts eventually. I'll just assume that you've learnt them, but I'll do it because they're very useful. Shift click will just throw a stack in. Control click will throw as much as you can in, which in this case is the same. Control click on an empty space will do everything in that it can, and here it's decided to prioritize wood over the coal. I'm not quite sure why. It might just be a numbering and indexing thing, I'm not sure, but the wood is burning here, and the iron ore is ticking down, and we're getting iron plates here in the output. From the outside, because we have alt mode on, by pressing left alt or the toggle alt mode here, we can see what this is doing. It's smelting iron plates. Without alt mode, we know that it's working because of the visual aspect, but we don't know exactly what it's doing, which is kind of helpful to be able to see that. Here we go, we've got iron plates. Now we can left click to pick them up, put them in our inventory. We can control click here to put them in our inventory, or again we can control click from the outside to just throw them in. These stack to 100. I can actually put them back in. Once the stone furnace is full, with 100 plates, 100 iron or 100 copper plates in this regard, it stops. Nothing is wasted, it's not continuing to burn, this isn't continuing to be smelted but going nowhere, it just stops working. Which is good. So we don't need to worry about the storage for these iron plates. The burner furnaces, the furnaces rather, on their own are sort of a storage. We can just sort of leave it going. We don't have to worry about decanting it into a chest or anything, we can just leave these going. Now that's a lot of iron, and it is a lot of iron. But it's going to take a long time to get 100. What we really want is we want a lot of iron, like a lot of iron. So what we can do, in the same way that the miner drills are outputting the coal into themselves, we can apply that exact same process over here with the iron ore. So I'm just picking up a burner mining drill here from my hotbar and pressing R to rotate it, and I'm going to place it on the iron ore. Over on the right here you can see expected resources. That is just merely the sum total of all the iron ore on the squares that the burner mining drill occupies. So in this case these 2x2 squares here, and again that's just the sum total of the iron ore on that square. 578, 577, 576, we all know what numbers are. In our map screen, which we can get to by pressing M or clicking the map, we can see here that this entire ore patch has a total of 528,000 iron ore, which is good to know. The other thing we can do is we can press Q, which is the sort of pipette tool, and if we press Q on a building, it takes another copy of that building from our inventory and lets us place it down. If you don't have any of that in your inventory, there is an options in the setting mode to put a ghost version of it down. Graph, interface, pick ghost item if no items are available. So for example, if I just quickly throw my excess burner mining drills into a chest and press Q, I don't have any, but it's letting me put a ghost version of it down, which obviously is not functional, but it's very good for planning. And later in the game you get the ability to have construction robots automatically fulfill your plans for you, which is very good when you just want to copy and paste a design somewhere else. But for now we'll get rid of those. So if we place our furnaces in front of the burner mining drills here, we can see that nothing is happening because there's no coal. But if we pick up our coal from our hotbar, or we can equally just take it from our inventory, we can place the coal in here. The coal starts mining the ore in the same way that it mines the coal, but the output goes into here in the input slot of the furnace. And our furnace obviously has no coal, so that's why it's not doing anything. So again, from the hotbar, we can just hold control. Oh no, we don't have to hold. Yes, we do. We have to hold control. There's so many keyboard shortcuts, and it's all like second nature to me now, so it's hard sometimes to remember the exact combination of Shift, Alt, Control, left click, right click that does the thing that I want. I just sort of do it. If we hold Control and left click, we'll put in half a stack. You can see that it says minus 25 coal. So the unintuitive thing going on here is that my cursor says 50, whereas my inventory says 241. That's because my inventory is totaling the number of coal I have. Realistically, my inventory is 5 stacks of coal. 4 of them are the max of 50, and 1 of them is 41, for a total of 241. So my hotbar is just saying I have 241 in my inventory, whereas my inventory is showing me the exact space that's been taken up from that. You can see here that iron plate stacks to 100, I think wood stacks to 200, buildings will all stack to 50 for the most part. Basically, the size of the item depends on how it stacks to, and it's just something unfortunately you have to learn. So if I pick up the coal here and I control right click, I'm putting half of 1 stack down, or half of what's in my cursor basically, because it's 50, going to be 25. And because I have taken it from my hotbar, I believe, oh, it's just gonna, it knows I'm holding coal, it doesn't like treat a stack, it's all very confusing. A stack is 50, but the game is also behind the scenes refilling that stack once I put half of it down. So the only reason that 50 is going to change is when I have less than 50 in my inventory. Any minute now, as soon as this starts getting spent. Oh, not quite. Let's go over to the coal miners. And then the control right click will put half of what I'm carrying down. So it's either half of the stack or half of what you're carrying if what you're carrying is less than 1 stack, which I appreciate is very confusing. So you see here that that was getting progressively less as half became closer to 0, and then I just shift clicked the thing that I didn't mean to do. So there we go. So these will tick along nicely, making our iron plates. Same thing applies from the outside. We can just control left click each individual one, or if you're feeling super snazzy, you can control and hold the left click button down and just drag it over the stuff and it'll just pick things up. That works on the mining drills as well, which is hilarious. But there we go. You can do the same when you're putting stuff down, just control click. This seems to be more about keyboard shortcuts than it does about stone furnaces, am I right? Let's talk a brief bit about crafting, because it's kind of fallen by the wayside now. Just make sure I've got stuff on me. Let's look at the crafting a burner mining drill. 3 iron plates, 3 iron gear wheels, and 1 stone furnace. Now, it says I can make 27 of these, but I don't have any iron gear wheels in my inventory. So why is it saying I could make them? The game is smart enough to know and to let you craft something if all you're missing is the intermediate parts. So I could go into intermediate products, click iron gear wheel 3 times, and make a burner mining drill. So if you see down here in the left hand side, we see our crafting queue, 3 iron gear wheels, and a burner mining drill. There we go. If I just click the burner mining drill, because the game knows I have iron plates, and I can just make iron plates into iron gear wheels by hand, it will stack all of that up in a queue. And then it will make the final product. And exactly the same applies. So if I actually throw away these stone furnaces and pick up a stack of stone, the same applies here. I've got the iron plates, but the iron gear wheel and the stone furnaces, they're in orange because I can make them, but I don't have them. So again, if I click this, it's going to make all the intermediate parts first, and then make the final product. If I right click, it does it for 5, so it's going to make 5 miner drills worth of iron gear wheels, 5 stone furnaces, and then 5 burner mining drills. If I shift click, it will make as many as I can make out of what I've got in my inventory, which isn't always a good thing to do, but sometimes you want to do it. So what am I doing, really? What I'm doing is I'm scaling up the production of these iron plates and copper plates because they are extremely important. 90%, I mean, I've pulled that number out of thin air, but 90% of what you make in the game needs iron plates and copper plates, or intermediate products of iron plates and copper plates. You can't do anything without those. The only other big one, really, I suppose, is plastic. but plastic is a long way away yet, so we don't need to worry about that. So basically, because the furnaces have a capacity of 100 for the plates at least, we can really just scale this up. So again, I can press Q, start plonking more of these down, press Q on the stone furnaces to pick them up directly from my inventory, control, click these, get this going. There it goes. Should have chopped these trees down really, shouldn't I? I'll do that before the next one. And some copper. Copper, exactly the same. Copper and iron behave exactly the same way for this purpose. Whoops. I ran out of coal. Control, left click all of these. There we go, easy, easy. You don't need as much copper as you need iron in the early game. If we look at burner mining drills, it's just stone and iron plates. Stone furnaces is just stone. Boilers, which we'll need shortly for electricity, but boilers, for example, stone and iron plates. What I'm looking at here is the total raw ingredients. It's telling me 3 seconds raw. That is if I had no parts at all. If I just had the 5 stone and the 4 iron plates, it would take me 3 seconds to craft, because it's going to have to make the 4 pipes, then the stone furnace, and then the boiler. Steam engines, which again we'll need for steam power, 10 iron plates, 8 iron gear wheels, 5 pipes, 31 raw iron plates. The lab needs copper, in fact, but basically you don't need as much copper as you need iron in the beginning. And we're just happy with this, really. We're just happy with this. Some people prefer to build their burner mining drills on the edge. I don't necessarily think that is an issue, because these are not going to last very long at all. We're going to transition to electric mining, which we will need to worry about how they will tessellate and how to get the most out of the space. But we'll just tear these down. And obviously in the long term you're not looking at building stone furnaces on top of the ore, because we're not going to get the ore out from under here. I mean, that's a half-truth. If you know what I'm talking about, then that's fine, but for all intents and purposes, the iron ore under this stone furnace is inaccessible to us. So really all I'm doing here is I'm utilising stone furnaces, how they work automatically, their internal storage of 100 iron plates, to just get a lot of resources so that I can scale up and start thinking about electric power. I can't think about electric power until I have 1 offshore pump, which needs 3 copper plates. So you will need 3 copper plates at a bare minimum. But that realistically is it. That is it. That is stone furnaces. Stone furnaces are quite simple. They don't have a orientation. They always go this way. They show you when they're working. They have a nice big internal storage, and they take the coal as fuel. Mostly you should be using the coal as fuel. You don't really want to be using wood as fuel at this point, because there's no way to automatically gain the wood without some special mods, and the fuel value of it is much lower. In the time it took you to get a stack of wood, this setup here would have given you like 5 times as much burnable fuel value. If your patches, and I've got quite lucky here with my patches quite close together, you might find that your early game is walking from the iron all the way over here to the copper and all the way down to the stone. It's not bad, it's not worse, but you'll probably find a lot more benefit of putting like maybe 10 of these down at once, so you don't have to do a lot of trips in between. So like, because my copper here is so close, I'm not going to worry about putting any more than 3 of them down. But obviously the longer it takes you to go and get your copper, the more you're going to want at once. That's really it. That's really all we're thinking about here in the early game. You can see there we've got some flashing messages here on our burner mining drills. They run out of coal, but that's fine, we've got coal sorted. What we'll do next time is we'll build some burner inserters and go through the basics of that, because we can't build inserters until we have electricity, and I don't want to set up electricity, because if I set up electricity it will look very confusing. There'll be a lot of stuff going on the screen, and there'll be a lot of things I have to think about. in regards to the inserters because they run off the electric power. And it'll be confusing. I'll be doing certain things and you won't understand why I'm doing them, whereas the burner inserters, they just go anywhere. They only take burnable fuel to power themselves. And it's worth learning about them anyway because they do have some uses. But for now, really, that's stone furnaces. There's a lot more to talk about with smelting, but we'll talk about it when it's relevant. We're not going to talk about it now, because now, in this early stage of the game, all we're really doing is building up a supply of intermediate products to make things. I've got a lot of iron ore here, so I will do the same thing I did before, just control left click, drop it all in there. And I'm just going to wiggle it backwards and forwards here. So all this is doing is every time it's checking that there's some space, so every time there is some space. It's not really the best thing to do, but it just looks nice. It's satisfying. The clicking is satisfying as well. Click, 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 click. Right, thank you very much. 20 minutes! It's done it! 20 minutes, 21 minutes. Ah, close enough. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Let me know if these are helpful. What I thought I might do is that if anyone has any questions, I will leave a comment with the answer. If the question is very, very good, and I'm like, yeah, I didn't talk about that at all, that's a good point, I should mention that, I will do a video explaining my answer to the question at least, and I'll just make that an unlisted video. So if you're subscribed, you won't get 2-minute videos popping up every week about, oh, why does this do this? I'll just put it as an unlisted video and put it in the description along with any, and I could probably just make the description the FAQ, right? That's a good idea. Thanks for that. Thanks for that. So yeah, if you liked it, like it. If you want to stick around for more, that's great. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments. I'm enjoying this. I'm looking forward to talking about all the aspects of Factorio in this style, really, in this sort of beginner entry-level style. And as I said in the first video, I feel like it's something that's missing a very, very, very entry-level. And this might be a bit too slow-paced, I suppose, for some people who just want to know how it works, but 20 minutes, you know, it's fine, right? It's fine. If you think it's too long, I'll speed it up. Just let me know. Just let me know, right? It's for you. It's not for my benefit, it's for your benefit. But, you know, there's my face, and there's banter, so 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Thanks. See you next time.